The desert winds were dry and biting, the kind that scraped against skin and whispered secrets through the dunes. Nathan Hale, former Earth Core mechanic and self-exiled drifter, squinted through the glare of twin suns beating down on the scorched planet of Virex 9. His boots sank into the dust as he trudged toward the edge of the settlement, a cluster of domed shelters barely holding together under layers of rust and regret. This backwater planet wasn't on any major trade routes. That was the point. He'd come here to disappear. He wasn't expecting to find anyone, certainly not a child. It started with a sound. A low, humming cry, barely audible over the wind. Nathan paused, frowning, turning toward a collapsed utility structure half buried in the sand. The sound came again. He moved closer, hand on the grip of his old pulse sidearm, cautious. The last thing he needed was to get jumped by some desert scavenger. Then he saw her. Curled under a broken metal beam, thin arms wrapped around her knees, was a girl, blue-skinned, dirt-smudged, her long braids tangled with sand. She looked up, and for a moment Nathan swore he saw stars reflected in her eyes. "Hey," he said, voice soft. "You hurt?" She didn't answer. She just stared at him like she was looking through him, like she already knew something he didn't. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Nathan took a cautious step forward, holstering his weapon. "I'm not gonna hurt you," he said. "You alone out here?" A slow nod. Nathan looked around. No footprints. No vehicles. No sign of anyone else. She couldn't have survived out here on her own. Not in this heat. Not with the solar storms that rolled through like angry gods. He crouched beside her, careful not to startle her. "Come on. Let's get you out of the sun." She flinched when he reached out, but didn't resist. He lifted her gently, surprised by how light she was, too light. She needed food, water, shelter. Questions would come later. He took her back to his rusted-out crawler, drove to his shack on the edge of the canyon. There, he got her into the shade, gave her water, and watched as she devoured a protein bar like a starving animal. She still hadn't spoken. Not until that night. The sky turned to obsidian, dotted with the shimmering arcs of far-off satellites and silent moons. Nathan sat on the steps, tuning his old radio, pretending not to glance her way. That's when she said it. "You're not like the others." He looked over. She sat cross-legged, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "What others?" he asked. Her voice was quiet. "The ones who left me." "Who were they?" She hesitated, then whispered, "They said I was dangerous." Nathan felt a chill, despite the heat. "Why?" "I don't know. I just wanted to go home." He leaned back, unsure what to say. Kids didn't end up alone on hostile planets without a reason. And she didn't look like any species he knew. "What's your name?" he asked. She looked away. "I don't remember." She was lying. He could tell. But why? The next few days passed with quiet routine. Nathan tried not to get attached, but the girl, who he started calling Zia, followed him everywhere. She watched him fix solar panels, feed the goats, tinker with his engines. She never asked questions, but she noticed everything. And weird things started happening. Tools moved on their own. Machines that hadn't worked in years suddenly powered up. The injured goat he'd found limping was walking again by morning. Nathan wasn't dumb. He'd seen enough in the core to know this wasn't coincidence. "You doing this?" he asked one night, holding up a wrench that had floated 6 inches off his workbench. Zia's eyes shimmered. "Sometimes I can't control it." "Is that why they left you?" She nodded. "They were scared. I was different." Nathan didn't press. But he kept a closer eye on her. He wasn't the only one. 3 nights later, a ship passed overhead, no transponder signal, no ID, just a silent black triangle cutting across the stars. Zia saw it first. Her face went pale, and she grabbed Nathan's hand with a grip far stronger than a child's. "They're here," she whispered. "Who?" She didn't answer. Just ran inside, curled into the darkest corner she could find. Nathan went out, checked the sensors. No movement. But he kept his rifle close. The next day, they came. Not in ships, but in silence. Figures in matte armor, faces hidden behind chrome masks, appeared in the canyon just before dawn. They didn't speak. They didn't fire. They just stood there, watching. Zia refused to leave the house. "They want me back," she said. "But they'll kill you." "I'm not letting them take you," Nathan said. "You don't understand," she said, voice trembling. "I'm not just different. I'm not supposed to exist." That was when Nathan finally pried the truth out of her. Zia wasn't just some runaway alien kid. She was royalty exiled from a galactic empire that had long since purged those with her kind of power. Her birth was a secret. Her powers, forbidden. Her existence was considered a threat to the balance of power across entire star systems. "They want to erase me," she said, "like I was never born." Nathan didn't blink. He just said, "They'll have to go through me first." He didn't have a plan. But he had grit. And more importantly, he had a reason to fight. As the sun rose over the canyon, and the armored figures began to close in, Nathan stood in the doorway of his shack, rifle slung over his shoulder, and Zia at his back. Whatever was coming next, he was ready. He'd spent his whole life running from the past. Now, he had something to stand for. And he wasn't going to back down. Not this time. The morning air was tense, thick with heat and the looming promise of violence. Nathan stood at the edge of the shack, eyes scanning the canyon ridge where the masked figures had been. Gone now. Like ghosts. But he knew better than to believe they'd left. "They'll be back," Zia said quietly, standing beside him. Her face was calm, but her eyes, they held storms. Nathan didn't ask how she knew. He'd stopped questioning the strange things about her. Every instinct in his body told him she was telling the truth. "I've got contacts," he said. "People who owe me favors. We need to get you off this rock." Zia shook her head. "They'll find me wherever I go. The only reason they haven't attacked yet is because they're waiting for reinforcements. Or orders. Or both." Nathan felt a bitter laugh rise in his throat. "You sure you're just a kid?" Zia didn't answer. They spent the next few hours preparing. Nathan rigged old surveillance drones, activated perimeter alarms, and started packing supplies. He dusted off his emergency escape pod, a relic from the war. Not ideal, but it could get them into orbit if things got bad. "Why me?" he asked suddenly, setting down a crate. "Why'd you let me find you?" Zia hesitated. "Because you're broken." Nathan blinked. "Gee, thanks. I don't mean it like that," she said. "You don't lie to yourself like the others. You don't pretend to be something you're not. And you don't want anything from me." She paused. "That's rare." Nathan didn't know what to say. So he kept working. That night, while Zia slept, he accessed an old encrypted channel, something from his days in the Corps. He sent out a message. "Need evac. Priority Alpha. Civilian asset compromised. Possible Imperial retrieval unit inbound. Location, Virex 9. This line is burning in 30. He didn't expect an answer. But one came anyway. Copy. Extraction in 72 hours. Hold position. Asset must remain secure. Nathan stared at the screen. The code was old, but authentic. Someone high up had seen it. Maybe a friend. Maybe a ghost. Either way, help was coming. 3 days. All they had to do was survive. The next morning, they weren't alone. It started with a sound, a high-pitched frequency that made Nathan's teeth ache. Then came the shimmer in the air, like heat waves dancing in a tight, focused arc something was cloaking. He grabbed Zia, pulled her into the shed, and looked out through the slits in the rusted metal. 5 of them. Same armor. Same silent presence. But this time they didn't stay on the ridge. They were walking straight toward the shack. Zia's breathing grew shallow. "They won't talk. They'll just take me. Not if I have anything to say about it." Nathan activated the first set of drones. They whirred to life, launching from hidden launchers in the dirt, flanking the figures with pulsing beams of red light. They didn't fire yet. Just a warning. The figures didn't flinch. Nathan triggered the speakers. "Turn around. This is private property. You got no authority here." No response. He tried again. This girl is under protection. If you make a move, I will respond. Silence. Then, one of the figures raised a hand not to threaten, but to project a hologram. It flickered to life in the air, displaying a tall alien woman dressed in regal robes, her voice smooth, controlled, and cold. Earthborn. You are harboring a dangerous entity. This being is a fugitive of the Zalareth dynasty and poses a threat to the stability of the Galactic Accord. Release her, and you will be spared. Nathan narrowed his eyes. She's a kid. She is a weapon, the hologram said. Designed. Engineered. Programmed. She is not your burden. Zia stepped forward then, unafraid. That's a lie. The hologram turned to her, almost as if seeing her for the first time. You were created by rebellion. Your very breath is treason. Come quietly, and your death will be painless. Nathan snapped. That's enough. He pulled the trigger. The drones launched stun pulses, non-lethal but powerful. Two of the masked figures were thrown back, shields flaring. The others scattered, returning fire with sonic disruptors that shattered half the shack's outer walls. It was chaos. Nathan grabbed Zia and ran to the pod. Get in, he shouted. I can fight. Not like this. They dove inside as the pod sealed shut. Systems came online with a hum. Nathan powered it up, locking in manual flight. You ever been to orbit? He asked. No. Hold on. The pod blasted off, leaving behind a trail of fire and dust. Nathan guided it through the atmosphere, dodging plasma bursts from one of the attacker's interceptors. He jinked and weaved, adrenaline pounding, until they broke through the clouds. Orbit. They made it. But they weren't safe. Two black cruisers hovered in the upper atmosphere, sleek and silent. They turned to intercept. Can we outrun them? Zia asked. Not a chance. Nathan activated the emergency beacon. This is Hale. Requesting immediate intercept. We are under fire. I repeat, under fire. No response. Then. Copy, Hale. Hold your vector. Help inbound. Out of the void, 3 ships decloaked. Sleek Earth core vessels, retrofitted with weapons no civilian had clearance to see. They moved fast, like sharks in blooded water. The cruisers opened fire. The core ships retaliated. Plasma lit up the blackness like a second sunrise. Nathan veered hard, dodging debris. One of the enemy cruisers exploded. The other broke off and vanished into slipspace. A voice crackled over comms. Hale, proceed to Station Theta V. We'll rendezvous there. And keep the girl safe. Nathan slumped back in his seat, heart pounding. Zia looked at him, wide-eyed. You didn't have to do all this, she said. Yeah, he said. I kinda did. She took his hand. I don't want to run anymore. He nodded. Then let's make sure you never have to again. As the stars stretched before them and the station grew larger in the distance, Nathan felt something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. The fight wasn't over. Not by a long shot. But they'd taken the first step. Together. Theta V station floated like a silver leviathan in the black, its hull bristling with old scars and new weapons. It wasn't much to look at, just a mining station retrofitted into a military outpost, but it had one thing Nathan needed right now, sanctuary. The docking arms clamped onto their escape pod with a mechanical groan, and the chamber hissed open. Stay behind me, Nathan said. Zia nodded silently, eyes wide but steady. She hadn't flinched once since they left Virex 9. For someone who claimed to be afraid, she sure carried herself like a soldier. Inside, they were greeted by 2 guards in black Earth core armor. They scanned Nathan and Zia with handheld devices, then motioned them forward. No questions. No greetings. Just silent protocol. Nathan didn't like it. They were led through cold metal corridors to a secured chamber, where a woman in a crisp grey uniform waited. Short, stocky, her hair shaved close to her scalp, Colonel Liz Anvera. Nathan recognized her instantly. Still alive, Hale, she said, arms crossed. Barely, he replied. Didn't expect you to be the one answering the call. Didn't expect you to make one. She eyed Zia. This her? Zia stood tall, meeting Anvara's gaze. I'm not a thing. I'm a person. Anvara didn't blink. Good. You're gonna need that spine. Nathan stepped between them. She needs protection, not more people interrogating her. You don't get it, Hale. You brought a goddamn Starfire-class anomaly into Earth core jurisdiction. We've been monitoring Zalarith transmissions for months. Their eyes are on her. You've lit up every comm channel from here to the outer rim. Then give us somewhere to disappear. Anvara shook her head. There's no disappearing from this. But maybe we flip the board. Nathan frowned. What do you mean? She leaned in. We let the galaxy believe Zia's already dead. Zia's breath caught. Nathan stepped forward. That's not happening. Not literally, Anvara said quickly. We fake an attack. Stage a death. Make it convincing enough that even the Zalareth buy it. Then we train her. Protect her. Prepare her for what's coming. And what exactly is coming? Nathan asked. Anvara looked at Zia. A war. One that's been building for centuries. And she's the fuse. The next few days passed in a blur. Zia was tested not just physically, but mentally. Scans, psychic calibrations, combat simulations. And through it all, Nathan stayed by her side. Watching. Worrying. He saw what she could do. Bend metal without touching it. Disrupt comms with a blink. Heal wounds faster than any Regan tech. But it came with a cost. Nosebleeds. Headaches. Exhaustion. Don't push yourself, he told her one night, as she sat on the training mat, drenched in sweat. I have to, she said. They're coming. I can feel them. I need to be ready. He knelt beside her. You're not alone anymore. You don't have to do this all at once. She gave him a small, tired smile. You sound like a dad. That hit harder than he expected. He didn't say anything. Just pulled a blanket over her shoulders. Later that night, alarms blared. Nathan was on his feet instantly, rifle in hand. Anvara's voice came over the comms. All personnel to defensive positions. We have a breach. Repeat, breach in Sector 9. Nathan's blood ran cold. That was the lab where Zia had just finished her last evaluation. He sprinted down the corridor, slamming through bulkheads, past scrambling soldiers. Smoke curled from under a blast door, red warning lights pulsing. Inside, chaos. 2 guards lay unconscious. One of the technicians was slumped over a console. And Zia was gone. Nathan's heart seized. Then he saw it on the security feed above the door. A flicker of cloaked figures, just like the ones on Virex 9. Slipping through cracks in reality. They teleported in, he growled. Anvara appeared behind him. They breached our shielding. That tech should have been impossible. Clearly it wasn't. I've got squads mobilizing. We'll find her. But Nathan wasn't waiting. He hacked the console, pulled up the last directional feed, and ran. They'd taken her to the docking bay. He got there just in time to see the tail end of a black stealth cruiser disappearing into hyperspace. Zia was gone. For the first time in years, Nathan felt helpless. Like the war had never ended. He slammed a fist into the wall, ignoring the pain. Anvara watched from a distance. We'll track her. We have slipstream traces. You better, Nathan growled. Because I'm going after her. You don't even know where they're taking her. I don't need to. I know them now. They'll take her to the fringe, to that godforsaken temple they never shut down. The one they use for cleansing. Anvara didn't deny it. You'll need a team, she said. And a better ship. Nathan nodded. Then get me both. Because if they hurt her. They won't, Anvara said. They need her alive. But they'll try to break her. Nathan stared out at the stars. Then I'll break them first. He knew this was more than a rescue mission. Zia wasn't just a girl anymore. She was a symbol. A spark that could ignite rebellion across half the galaxy. And someone out there was desperate to snuff her out. But they'd made one mistake. They took her from him. And now he was coming. Not as a drifter. Not as a mechanic. As a reckoning. The fringe world of Thalos 7 was a graveyard of stone and shadows, a forgotten planet scarred by centuries of war and silence. No atmosphere, no life, just the remains of an ancient Zalareth temple buried in the jagged cliffs like a wound that never healed. Nathan Hale's ship emerged from hyperspace with a ripple of blue light. He didn't wait for clearance. He didn't send a signal. He just descended straight into hell. He wasn't alone. Behind him flew a retrofitted Earth Core stealth frigate, piloted by Anvra's best, loaded with a team of outcasts and war-hardened fighters who owed him favors. They were all there for one reason. Zia. Inside the ship's briefing room, Nathan stared at the 3D layout of the temple ruins. "She'll be in the sanctum," he said, pointing. "It's where they break people. Mind games, psychic attacks, sensory deprivation. They'll try to reprogram her. Or worse, turn her against us." "Then we don't give them the chance," said Juno, a half-cybernetic sniper who once took down a rogue battleship with a single shot. Nathan nodded. "We go in fast and loud. Extract Zia, destroy the temple. No one walks out unless she does." They breached the temple at night. Dark stone corridors pulsed with faint blue light. The walls whispered in languages no one spoke anymore. The deeper they went, the heavier the air became. Then they heard her. A scream. It echoed through the halls, chilling Nathan to the bone. He ran. Blasters fired behind him as his team covered the rear. Nathan didn't stop. He knew that voice. That was fear and defiance. He found her in the center of the sanctum. Zia was suspended in mid-air, wrapped in a field of psychic energy. Her body was limp, her mind under siege. Around her stood 3 Zalareth priests, chanting, their faces concealed by gold masks. Nathan didn't hesitate. He fired. One priest fell. The other 2 turned, raising their hands. Nathan's head split with pressure, his knees buckling, but he didn't stop. He threw a thermal charge, dived to the side, and the explosion rocked the chamber. The field around Zia shattered. She collapsed. Nathan crawled to her, lifted her gently. "Zia. It's me. I'm here." Her eyes opened, unfocused. They tried to make me forget you. You held on." She nodded weakly. "I kept hearing your voice." Behind them, another priest rose, shrieking in fury. But before Nathan could act, Zia raised her hand. "No more." A shockwave of light burst from her, ripping through the temple. The walls cracked. The floor shook. The priest vanished into dust. The temple was collapsing. Nathan picked her up and ran. The team regrouped near the entrance. Juno had taken a hit, but they were all alive. Barely. They escaped just as the entire sanctum imploded, folding into itself in a spiral of blinding white energy. Zia watched it fade with quiet eyes. "They'll come again," she said. "Let them," Nathan replied. "We're not hiding anymore." Months later, Zia stood before the Galactic Council. No longer a fugitive. No longer a secret. The council chamber buzzed with diplomats, ambassadors, and leaders from 100 worlds. The events on Thalos 7 had sparked an uprising. News of what the Zalareth had done, how they had hunted a child to protect their power, had ignited a fire that couldn't be contained. Nathan stood off to the side, cleaned up for once. A suit instead of dust-streaked gear. But his eyes never left her. Zia stepped forward. "I am not a weapon," she said. "I am not a threat. I am not an accident. I am what your fear tried to destroy, but I survived. And I choose to stand, not in vengeance, but in hope." Silence. Then, one by one, representatives began to stand. Support. Recognition. Change. Back on Earth, Nathan and Zia lived quietly for a while in the hills of New Montana. No palaces. No guards. Just sky, stars, and silence. One morning, she sat beside him on the porch, watching the twin moons rise. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't found me?" she asked. "All the time," he said. "But you did." "Yeah." He smiled. "I did." She leaned against him. "Thank you, Nathan." He put an arm around her. "You don't have to thank me. You're not just someone I rescued, Zia. You're my family." She didn't reply. She just closed her eyes, listening to the wind. In the end, the galaxy didn't change overnight. But it changed because of her. Because she chose to rise. Because one man refused to let her fall. And somewhere, across the stars, a once feared girl now walked freely, not as a weapon, not as a ghost, but as a beacon. A reminder that the smallest life can carry the greatest light. Moral in a universe where power often chooses silence, sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is believe in someone when no one else will. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything.